Today from the Global Lane, 15 months after war in the southern Caucasus, Armenian POWs are still being held captive by Azerbaijan.
Captives were targeted because of not only ethnicity but also religion.
Who can help free the Christian prisoners and settle the dispute?
Commitment and continued leadership. That's what we expect from the U.S.
America trending towards socialism, making capitalism great again.
Right now, we're in the greatest times ever. Creativity is God's secret weapon against the enemy.
And Freedom Convoy, trucking and praying in a woke world.
On earth as it is in heaven.
And it's all right here on the Global Lane. More than a year after war in the disputed Caucasus region of Nagorno-Karabakh, Azerbaijan still holds Armenian prisoners of war. Why? And after more than 30 years of conflict over the territory, can the two countries ever reach an agreement? Well, joining us to share their perspectives are the former Armenian ambassador to the U.S., Grigor Hovhannisyan, and Armenian human rights attorney Siranush Sahakian. Mr. Ambassador, I'd like to start with you. We've been reporting about this territorial dispute ever since the fall of the Soviet Union in the early 1990s. Please explain to our viewers why Nagorno-Karabakh is so important to the Christians of Armenia. Isn't it primarily a Muslim territory?
Nagorno-Karabakh is one of the essential foreign policy issues Armenia, as an independent country, had to deal with ever since it became independent 30 years ago. It is not a territorial dispute, as you just mentioned. You know, for us, it's a fundamental right of the people of Nagorno-Karabakh, the Armenian population, and has been living on its ancestral land for 2 millennia at least, to determine their future through self-determination. This is an Armenian populated Christian, old conservative Christian country that has been there, and the existence of that community has been on the record for the last 2,000 years. So some of the oldest churches, early Christian heritage we have as an Armenian nation is in Nagorno-Karabakh. So it's not a territory; it's the hearth, is one of the quintessential centers of our Christian civilization. Turkey interfered on behalf and through its entire military might behind Azerbaijan's attempt to unilaterally and militarily end the conflict. And obviously, that was a tremendous, formidable force that would that resulted in an excruciating defeat for Armenia. It took a tremendous toll on in terms of human lives. And our military forces are now considerably depleted. But the question is not resolved, essentially, which is testament to the argument we had all along. This type of conflict, this type of crisis cannot be resolved militarily. And you have to have a political solution. And the political solution is that the people that live on their ancestral land, that they're self-organized, they elect their self-rule institutions, they aspire to democratic, participation. They cannot live under the dictatorial rule of a majority that is. It's not even a question of compatibility. As I said, Karabakh Armenians are Christians, and they're facing a Muslim country that is also happened to be undemocratic. And these people continue to maintain that they will the struggle for the recognition, for becoming a nation, for their right to exist and self-rule to be recognized.
Siranush, a question for you. You represent the families of prisoners of war still being held by Azerbaijan. So how many POWs are still being held? For what reason? What is Azerbaijan saying about it?
Thank you for this possibility to discuss the concerns about humanitarian issues. So after 1.5 years, the bloody war, we still have unresolved humanitarian issues, and one of the key points is non-repatriation of prisoners of war. So officially, as to this point, 46 POWs remain in Azerbaijan. Azerbaijan officially acknowledged their captivity, but for different reasons, they refused to repatriate. Mainly, they refer to technical issues, but also they try to create artificial legal grounds to justify the delay in repatriation, particularly. They launched sham criminal proceedings, blaming Armenian captives for different types of offenses. They started with terrorism. Fortunately, they modified the charges during the court proceedings, and now they brought charges and convict Armenian prisoners for illegal border crossing.
Up next, more on the plight of Armenian prisoners of war 1 year after the Armenian-Azerbaijan conflict over Nagorno-Karabakh, and how they've been mistreated because of their Christian faith. More than a year after war in the disputed Caucasus region of Nagorno-Karabakh, Azerbaijan still holds Armenian prisoners of war. Joining us to share their perspectives are the former Armenian ambassador to the U.S., Grigor Hovhannisyan, and Armenian human rights attorney Saranush Sahakian. Saranush, tell us about some of those prisoners and their families.
I can mention the case of Ludwig Mgurchan. Actually, he's an elderly man, and he was targeted because of his age. Because of his age, there was a potential for him to take part in the First and Second War of Nagorno-Karabakh, and now they made charges against him for torturing Azerbaijani prisoners of war during the first war in 19th. But actually, he was a shoemaker, he worked in a construction, he does not have any relation with alleged torturing and whatsoever. He's married, has 2 children, 19 and 12 years old. And interestingly, we have also video material showing the captivity of Ludwig with brutal physical abuse by Azerbaijani soldiers against him. And then we see also how he was blindfolded together with other soldiers. Their hands and foot were tied together, and with the use of metal skewers, Azerbaijani soldiers are dragging them and beating, and also filming these scenes and disseminating with the aim of to terrorize Armenian society. And interestingly, many captives were targeted because of not only ethnicity, but also religion. Most harsh forms of treatment occurred in respect of soldiers who had signs of religious signs like cross, signs, other types of signs, books, holy books, etc. And they removed all religious symbols. And more interestingly, when some of them requested books, they gave, for example, Quran or books titled Armenian terrorists. So during the captivity, they were humiliating in a way to impact on their religious beliefs as well.
Okay, and finally, Mr. Ambassador, what would you like to see the United States do? Don't Russia and Turkey have more influence and interest in the region? Shouldn't they help resolve this?
Well, first of all, let me tell you that the United States has been by the side of Armenia all these years. We've been lucky to have and be able to build a very strong partnership. And the US's presence, keep an eye on the developments is key. You know, the whole thing, the war was unleashed when the world was facing a perfect storm with the elections in the US, with pandemic, etc. That was the momentum when you know the masterminds of this Karabakh 2020 war unleashed, this provoked this major flare-up that destabilized the entire region. It is key, it is essential for U.S. And we're very thankful for the administration that has been very vocal and unequivocal about the necessity, the need to restart the political process. That sent a very strong signal. What we need to do, I mean, we're not asking U.S. to interfere militarily. That would be a naive thing to propose. But putting these regimes in Turkey and Azerbaijan in their right place is something that is within the powers, within the region, of the U.S. We hope that they would steer this process, because withdrawal of or less of an involvement, engagement results in calamities, and the war was testament to that. As I said, U.S. was very busy with the dramatic electoral process and its aftermath. And as the foreign policy priorities were being reshuffled, the problem of Southern Caucasus was not receiving, I would say, adequate attention. But now we feel like the U.S. is back, and we feel like that presence and engagement in the political process through other capitals, also through working with Turkey. I mean, Turkey has become a very difficult, unpredictable partner, but I think we see that U.S. is nevertheless trying to maintain a certain level of dialogue and also bring up the issues that affect Armenia's security in Karabakh. So that's obviously bilateral engagement, multilateral through the Minsk group and co-chairmanship. That's what we expect from the U.S. Commitment and continued leadership. This region will not be able to restore semblance of stability without U.S. Obviously, there's Russia that has been a metropoly, has long historic influence in the region, and has been security guarantor for the people of Karabakh. But political settlement entails participation of U.S., and we hope that that perspective is maintained regardless of type of administration we have in Washington.
Okay, former Armenian ambassador to the U.S., Grigor Hovhannisyan, and Armenian human rights attorney, Suranush Sakian. Thank you for providing those insights.
Thank you, Gary.
Gallup's most recent poll on American views of capitalism and socialism found an astonishing divide based on political affiliation. Gallup reports that Democrats continue to rate socialism more favorably than capitalism. 65% of Democrats have a positive view of socialism. Republicans, only 14% like the idea. So which view is likely to win out in the post-pandemic era, and what might that mean for us? Our next guest is a staunch defender of capitalism. He's John DeLemme, founder of the Conservative Business Journal and author of the book, Making Capitalism Great Again. John, it's great to have you with us. So let's get right into your book. You believe our free enterprise system is being destroyed by socialists. So give us the broad view here. How are they accomplishing that, and how bad is it?
Sure, and Gary, even as you read those numbers from the Gallup polls, you kind of saw my face. I was like, just gritting my teeth. Like, there's no positivity from socialism. It's total manipulation of one's talent. God gives us talents to create, prosper, earn income, be able to tithe and bless others. Socialism just manipulates and shuts people's potential down, and it's ultimately a control factor. They want to control people's potential. Capitalism is why this country was founded upon. This country, everyone came to America to develop, prosper, build, and take God's given talents and prosper and earn income and provide for the family. And even the 14% of the Republicans, I don't know who they are. They're probably the rhinos, because there's not one aspect of socialism that works. It shuts everything down. It's free. Everyone gets a trophy. Everyone loses, but the big-time politicians. It's a complete scam.
Yeah, they get richer and richer. Now, you list 3 reasons socialism destroys our ability to prosper in life and business. How does it steal opportunities and manipulate and control minds? Give us some current examples here, John.
Sure. You see what happens right now when the pandemic hit. What did they do? They went into lockdown. They shut down small businesses. 94% of America is 10 employees or less, small business entrepreneurs. And socialism steals opportunities because an opportunity is the ability for someone to earn income and prosper. And what happens is if you can't run a business, operate a business, open up a business, and give service to a customer and give service to a client, you can't prosper. You know, I always take socialism as kind of like the scripture, John 10:10, that socialism comes to steal, kill, and destroy, which is the devil. God comes to be able to prosper you and give you an abundant life, which is capitalism. Which capital is something in your mind. It's a dream. It's a vision. It's an idea. That's capital. It's an asset. And I get real passionate about it because ultimately capitalism gives you the opportunity to innovate. And I believe right now we're in the greatest times ever. You're going to see, Gary, in the next 2 to 5 years, the greatest move of ideas, innovation, creation ever. Creativity is God's secret weapon against the enemy.
You write that socialism turns people from being givers to getters. You mention in the Bible that we're reaping what we sow. Explain.
That's right. I mean, that's the ultimate negative result of socialism. There's not one person that receives a stimulus check and says, you know what, I'm going to tithe on this. Wow, wow, look what came in the mail. I'm going to tithe to my church. The ultimate radical left, the Democrats, which are really communists, which is anti-God, they want to control your income. They want to control your ability to prosper. And it turns you from a getter. What can I get for free? Well, if I stay home, I don't work, and I file unemployment, I'll get this amount of money. I keep it for my family. I do nothing. And that's slothfulness and laziness and lack of integrity. So it turns you from a giver, a cheerful giver, to a getter.
So what does the future look like, John? More of a mix of the two systems, or what?
There's really no mix of two systems. It's capitalism. It's the ability for people to produce a product, serve a customer, and add value. And I want to speak this into people's lives today. I truly believe big problem, big opportunity. Many of you have been praying for an opportunity. God will give you a problem to see an opportunity. In all the stories in the Bible, Jesus will tell stories about problems, and then inside that is an opportunity. So I truly believe you're going to see the evolution, the innovation, and creation of the greatest explosion in America right now, because we have our Constitution, we have our freedom, and it's 100%. We live and breathe in America because it's the only place in the world you can produce, you can dream, you can have a vision, and you can earn income. And ultimately, God is looking for those that will step out in faith. That will, faith doesn't make sense. That's why it makes miracles. We have to stand by faith, and fear will run. And I just want to share a quick message. Do not let anybody manipulate your mind. There's not one positive aspect of socialism. Socialism is the beginning. Communism is ultimately the end. I said socialism is a snake. It got in the house. It slithered in. Just a mask, just this, just that. Now you're in. Communism will kill you because the bite will kill you. And that's why we have to create, innovate, and step out in faith. Let God bless your path.
Okay, the dream's still alive. John DeLemme, founder of the Conservative Business Journal, and the book is Making Capitalism Great Again. Thank you, John, for sharing your time and insights.
Thank you, Gary. Appreciate it.
By now, you've probably heard of the Freedom Convoy. They're truck drivers protesting Canadian government mandates requiring unvaccinated truckers to isolate for 2 weeks and produce negative COVID-19 tests before being allowed to re-enter Canada. So much for freedom up in the Great White North. Truckers, and I am familiar with them, folks, because I have family members who are in the business. They earn their living by making as many runs as they can in the shortest time possible. So this is costing them money and the ability to support their families. It's almost like the Ottawa government is intentionally creating supply chain shortages. More shortages, more government control. Or maybe it's the reverse. The more restrictions the government imposes, the more things get messed up. I remember visiting Russia prior to the collapse of the Soviet Union. State control of the supply chain led to grocery store shortages like this. Look familiar? Well, it's not much different than some shelves we see today at Walmart or other stores. The man leading this craziness in Canada, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, is in quarantine, recovering from the coronavirus. He's got a lot of time on his hands to think this through, but my guess is he'll go with socialist instincts. Here's what he had to say earlier about the Freedom Convoy.
I have attended protests and rallies in the past when I agreed with the goals, when I supported the people expressing their concerns and their issues. Black Lives Matter is an excellent example of that. But I have also chosen to not go anywhere near protests that have expressed hateful rhetoric, violence towards fellow citizens.
Violent protest? I haven't seen reports about anyone getting hurt from this convoy, have you? But in contrast, remember the BLM and Antifa riots of 2020? No violence there, just some young people venting their frustrations over police injustice. I guess Justin Trudeau only represents the Canadians that agree with him. Meanwhile, Canadian Neil Young, who once sang "Rockin' in the Free World," apparently is opposed to free speech. He threatened to pull his songs from Spotify if they didn't do something about Joe Rogan spreading COVID disinformation on the streaming service. Well, so much for rockin' in the free world, Neil. I guess your new song title should be "Rockin' in a Woke World." Freedom, censorship. Do you see the hypocrisy, folks? When will all this craziness end? Let's continue to pray about it. So where do we start? How about with this prayer prayed by those truckers recently at the Canadian border?
Hallowed be thy name.
Hallowed be thy name.
Thy kingdom come.
Thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven.
Forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine art the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.
Now that doesn't seem violent to me at all, does it to you? Folks, let's keep praying for fewer restrictions and for freedom. Let's pray for love, understanding, and unity in our countries. And as in the Lord's Prayer, that God's will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Well, that's it today from the Global Lane. Be sure to follow us on the CBN News and NRB channels, social media, and our broadcast affiliates. And until next time, be blessed.